What up, though, y'all? It's Chris. Appreciate you connecting with me on my way out. This evening workout. Slide over here and holler at y'all real quick. Let's get right into the topic. Meta is going in a different direction, and it does appear that it's a direct response to some of the threats that Trump, not even in office yet, but on the way in, just different threats that he's made about how Meta has operated when it's come to censorship. They will be firing their independent fact checkers, which Zuckerberg has acknowledged that they were just too biased. And it's funny because they could see how biased they were, and they did nothing up to this point. They could see how biased they were. They seen how people would complain about any alternate political beliefs or opinions, usually right-wing ones. They would be silenced. They would be shadow banned, and they would pretend like, oh, that's not happening when it was. So, as Zuckerberg put it, because he's trying to pretend like, oh, this was, we really didn't know that it was that bad. We're just now figuring this out. No, they knew. They very much knew. Honestly, the way Facebook moves with censorship, it's one of the reasons why I got the hell off of that platform. I got off of Facebook years ago. I personally have never really liked Facebook. I have an account. Friends twisted my arm into making an account. And I tried. I made some posts on there. For years I didn't, though. It just wasn't really a platform I enjoyed, just really putting any time into. But when we were kind of locked in on the pandemic, I did make a bit of a run posting on there. And then I just eventually got off. It just was too much misinformation. And that's the thing. They claimed that their fact checking was to prevent the spread of misinformation. But it doesn't prevent the spread of misinformation. There is a ton of misinformation on Facebook. It's just, if you had any sort of conservative viewpoint, it would get categorized as misinformation. So you see how they operate there? Actual misinformation would basically just slide. You could say whatever you wanted as long as it wasn't something that was right-leaning. If you dared to get on there and say something like boys are boys and girls are girls, you would find yourself shadow banned. As silly as that is, that's the case. Zuck also has seemingly admitted that the government was putting pressure on them to do this. So, which is it, bro? You didn't know that the censorship of this magnitude was happening, or you're fully aware that this censorship was happening because the government encouraged you to do so? Like, which is it? And this is a brilliant guy. He's no dummy by any stretch of the imagination, but he's talking out of both sides of his face. You can't one sentence say you really had no idea that the censorship was as bad as it was. You guys thought that the misinformation stoppage was working as intended, and then a few sentences later, or a paragraph of sentences later, do the opposite, saying like that the government was stepping in and putting pressure on you to do this. So I'm not surprised, though, that this was the case. It's funny that he's admitting it now, but I'm not surprised that this was the case, because this was how Twitter operated for years and years and years before Elon Musk took it over. And some people love that Elon Musk bought it. Some people hate that he bought it. I personally think it's a better place after him buying it. Some would disagree. You have people who have fled, X to go over to this other place, Blue Sky, But honestly, it's only because, and I've paid attention to the stuff that the people say, it's only because X basically was no longer an echo chamber for their opinions. As long as you were saying a lot of the very progressive leftist stuff that they like to kind of, you know, for lack of a better term, circle jerk each other, reaffirming each other with, you were fine. But if you offered any sort of opposite or alternate viewpoint, or you just didn't fully agree, you were basically a pariah. It was absolutely ridiculous. So X, formerly known as Twitter, it operated that way for years. Now, I managed to weather the storm there because on X, I don't really talk about politics. It's mainly sports. So I wasn't largely affected, but I seen plenty of political commentators who were affected. They were banned left and right. I mean, X, well, it was Twitter at the time, they got so ridiculous. Remember, they banned Donald Trump. Think about that. They were so self-righteous in their censorship of any opinions that they don't agree with, that they banned a sitting president from the platform. Tell me any other time in history where something like that has happened. I can't think of another time either. So Zuck says that Facebook will be moving out of the very left-leaning California and to Texas. They're going to start doing community notes similar to what X does. I mean, and for the most part, I think the community notes system is solid. I don't think it's perfect, but it's solid. It's much better than the extremely biased and very obviously biased censorship / third-party fact-checking that Facebook has been employing. So I'll take it. No system is going to be perfect. There's going to be things that are going to get through, but I would rather take part in a platform that doesn't censor people simply for disagreeing than be on one that's just trying to police. Basically, if you're not in the hive mind mentality, which I can't stand that, if you're not in the hive mind mentality, they're going to make it very, very uncomfortable for you. So it's very interesting. The conservatives, and this is me trying to be, balanced, fair here. The conservatives, when Twitter was at its absolute worst, when it came to censoring conservative opinions, seemed to stay. Some were shadow banned, some were outright, account terminated, but they seemed to stay, even though they were very clearly under attack. On the contrary, the people on the left are fleeing in mass because the censorship is being lifted. I mean, think about that. They're not leaving because their viewpoints are being oppressed. They're leaving because the other side is no longer being oppressed. So they were fine with being there as long as the other side couldn't have a voice. As long as they were able to dominate, they wanted to stay. Now that both sides, it doesn't matter right or wrong, who's right or who's wrong. Both sides can be heard, and they don't like that very much. So now they're fleeing to a totally different platform where they can continue the echo chamber that they enjoyed for so long on Twitter. But let me know what you guys think. I'm curious. Do you guys think that Facebook is going to become a better place as a result of this? I personally don't think so. I probably still won't have a use for Facebook, but I think this is a step in the right direction at the very least. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, man. I'll let y'all later. Peace.